Hello, writers. Today we are working on brainstorming. Remember, brainstorming is when we have all of the thoughts in our head and we are trying to get them on our paper. First, we are going to start with what are we writing this week? We are going to be telling about a time that we took a trip. Now, some of us don't travel as often. But this trip doesn't have to be somewhere far away. It could be a trip to the park, a trip to the grocery store, a trip to a friend's house. It can be any sort of trip, so it doesn't have to be to a trip far away. If you have been somewhere far away and would like to write about that, you absolutely can. This is your personal narrative. Remember, a personal narrative is a story that you are telling that you have been through, so it's happened to you. It's also narrative, which is story, so we need to make sure that we're writing it in a story format. So, let's get started on what brainstorming looks like. Right now, you do not need to draw anything other than the date and brainstorming at the top. If you want to wait until the activity to do that, you may. So when we are brainstorming, we want to section off our notebook. My notebook today looks a little bit different than our normal notebook, so this would be my drawing space up at the top. We are going to split up our journal into 3 spaces. Remember, you can do this during the activity part. I'm just showing you how we brainstorm. When we are brainstorming, we need to come up with 3 different ideas of trips that we have been on. This is going to get your brain a little more organized. So, let's think about trips that Miss Nungesser has been on. Well, one of my favorite trips I've been on was to Disney World. So, I remember I took a plane So I'm going to draw a plane because that will help me later remember what this picture is of. Sometimes it's hard to remember a few days after we've drawn something what we were drawing. So I know I took a plane. Another thing I will be reminded of a trip to Disney is, of course, Mickey Mouse. So I'm drawing Mickey Mouse's head. We also stayed near the park called Epcot, so I'm going to draw the Epcot ball. And that will remind me of the trip as well. So I have 3 things here that will remind me that I went to Disney World. I can also use words to label the picture so I can remember. So I'm going to put Disney so I can remember that this is our Disney trip. Another trip that I've been on recently that I really enjoyed was a trip to Zilker Park. So I'm going to draw hills because Zilker has lots of hills. And what was really cool about Zilker Park, and it was in Austin, is that you can see the city in the background. So I'm kind of just drawing some buildings. So that I can remember that that is the city in the background. There were also some really big, beautiful trees. So I'm going to draw a tree as well. So this will remind me that this is Zilker Park. And again, I can also label it. And I can know that this was my trip to Disney. This was my trip to Zilker Park. Another trip that I have been on, that's one of my favorites, is to the beach. And I did not do much. I sat in a big, comfy chair and relaxed. And that's exactly what I am going to draw. So I have my chair right there, and I had a really big umbrella. And then we had all of the water. And the sun was so shining bright. It was beautiful. So I have my 3 pictures now, and I'm going to label my final picture beach so that I can remember. Now, when we have done all 3 of our pictures and we've thought about the trips that we've been on, we now have to decide which trip are we going to write about. And sometimes this is hard, and if you need to take a minute to think about which trip you would like to write about, that is fine. When we are writing, we're going to start our sentence with, once I took a trip, to, and everyone's is going to be different because we have different people who have taken different trips in our class. So when you are drawing your pictures, remember, we need to draw things that we think we will remember later about the trip. And if we can, also try to label that picture so that you can remember, because tomorrow we are going to start the writing process. The other thing we need to make sure we do is choose. Once I took a trip to, and you are going to write which one you have chosen. I am going to grab my pen here, and I'm going to choose my beach trip. I put a little star by it so I can remember. I don't think we can see that color very well. Maybe my red pen will do the trick. Much better. So I'm going to draw a little star because this is the picture that I chose, and then I'm going to finish my sentence down here with the sentence stem that you are also going to use. Once I took a trip to, and Miss Nungesser's is going to be the beach. Is yours going to be the beach? Probably not. We've all been on different trips, right? So you're going to write about a trip that you have been on. Next, you're going to go to the activity slide to see what you need to do today.